What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you guys are having a fantastic evening so far and have had a great Thursday and a work week. We're going to continue to break down the same winter storm we've been breaking down. It's ongoing right now. It's hitting portions of the Ohio Valley. There's still a little bit of ice showing up in Arkansas and Missouri and even portions of southern Indiana and Illinois right now, where mainly rain is falling in those areas. But we're going to break down what's going on right now, break down what's going to happen overnight into tomorrow morning, where the real significant part of the storm really turns up. So we're going to break down each individual model, talk about what they're showing and why they're showing it, and then somewhere in between I'm going to give my own personal opinion on what model I think could end up unfolding, just my opinion on it. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And I want to mention this really quick, and I know my intros tend to go really long here. Skip ahead if you want, but I want to tell y'all how much I appreciate every single one of y'all, and I know I do this every video. But as we're about to work our way into March, I don't see really any significant storm to latch onto and talk about after this system. So I just want to take the time to thank everybody for the amazing support over the last 2 months. It's really not just changed my life, it's changed my family's life too. You guys have really opened up some doors for me in my life, and I appreciate every single one of y'all. I really do. Y'all have blessed me with a platform to talk about what I love. So I truly appreciate that. You guys, if you got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. Gives me an opportunity to pray over them, gives others an opportunity to do so too. We're all praying about the situation outside the country and the situation in the country. Just with, it just seems like everybody fights over politics and nobody can get along with anything. We're always fighting about something. So all we can do is pray, especially with the situation in Ukraine and Russia, and hope for the best and pray for the best. And hopefully we can at some point just calm down as a world. I really, truly, and hope we can one of these days. But let's get going here and talk about the weather. This is advisories, warnings, winter storm warnings in pink. This will expire here in the coming hours, but you still got winter weather advisories up in this purple shaded colors. This dark purple, that is ice storm warnings in the Laurel Highlands, just east of Pittsburgh, where an ice storm will really begin to ramp up here in the coming hours. Winter storm warnings up for the interior Northeast, all of Vermont, New Hampshire, all of eastern New York State. Winter weather advisories up, though, for New York City, Philadelphia, and, most of Pennsylvania, just winter weather advisories. But I'm wondering if some of these counties, maybe in northern Pennsylvania, could trend to a winter storm warning, if you will. But Boston definitely has a winter storm warning. So what is going on right now? Let's switch to the radar. This is the area of moisture that will continue to push. See if I can get my cursor up. It'll push this way and start affecting areas of like Pennsylvania and places like that, and then get further into areas of eastern Ohio. There is moisture also falling in central Ohio in the form of rain, freezing rain, and a little bit of sleet, but no real high impact event here. That's why you only have the winter weather advisories up here, but this is all falling in rain here in southern Indiana. Some sleet. Let's get some freezing rain actually into Indianapolis. You're not even seeing much in the way of sleet. So be careful in that area. There's been some decent ice accumulations in southern Illinois this afternoon. I've seen some pictures out of this area where you got the icicles hanging from the tree limbs. So be careful in that area. Will be some lingering moisture that continues for that area. So let's talk about, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Ohio Valley, about what you can expect over the next several hours as the system wraps up for you folks. But let's talk about the HRRR model, then the NAM, and then break down some model guidance. I want to remind you guys, if you are confused at what time frame we're at, I'm going to really just look at tropical tidbits as far as looking at the model runs. Check it out right here, 9 p.m. February 24th. So this is what it's predicting the wet radar is going to be in Eastern Standard Time here in the next 2 hours. So obviously you keep going and you get to 1 a.m. February 25th. That's 1 a.m. tonight in the morning. So if you get confused about what time frame we're at, look up here. If it's too small, I'll continue to mention what time it is in the videos. But here we go. We're getting into 9, 10, 11 p.m. Precipitation begins to move into Pennsylvania and in areas of New York State. This will be in the form of freezing rain. This low pressure somewhat intensifies, but it really gets close to these areas and kind of snugs in here into Pennsylvania. It brings in a stout area, warm nose, even at the surface, not just the loft, but at the surface. That's why you switch to all rain for areas of Ohio down here, areas of southwest PA really starts to switch to all rain. That's why you're all rain for the majority of West Virginia. And some cold air gets trapped east of the Appalachian Mountains right here. So you might start to get a little bit of freezing rain in the northern counties of Maryland. especially those higher elevations where the ice could really linger around. And in this area, Maryland can see a little bit of ice. You're starting again, it's the 1 a.m. time frame overnight. This is when a brief burst of a few hours of snow could really move into northern PA. And then the ice storm just rages on for areas of Pennsylvania down here. Sleet's in the purple, freezing rains in the pink. And then, you look at, New York City maybe starting off as a period of sleet or freezing rain. And then y'all might switch to maybe on and off periods of snow. But you're getting to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. All rain for Pittsburgh, all snow up here in Buffalo, all snow for the entire state of New York City, except down here in from New York State, except down here for New York City into Long Island, where low pressure begins to transfer to off the coast here, and here it is right here, begins to transfer, and y'all might switch to all rain as you're waking up in the morning for New York City. In fact, I think it's going to happen for New York City and Long Island. But I'll back it up here. This is going to be an intense 1 to 2 inch hour per rate band of snow that moves into southern New England. I'm talking about Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, southern New Hampshire, and Vermont, sections of New York State. As we're getting into just before sunrise, this will continue to be very heavy snow per the HRRR model. But look, as we get into Connecticut, you begin to switch to heavy sleet from heavy snow. But heavy snow continues into the mid-morning time frame. This snow is going to pile up quick. We're starting to get closer to midday, and this is far out as it goes in the latest short-range HRRR model, and it's still snowing about 10 to 11 a.m. in this range. How close will this mixed line get north here in these 3 states right here of Rhode Island, Connecticut, and Massachusetts? That's a big question here. For you folks up here, there's not much of a question. You guys stay all snow. The big question for y'all is how much snow. I think there will be widespread over-foot totals, at least 10 to 14 inches of snow up in here. I think that's almost a certainty. The big question is figuring out what's going to happen is this mixing line into this area right into here where a lot of people live here in southern New England. You look at the NAM, we'll back this up here. I'm showing you too much too soon here. And as we're moving into 1 a.m., look at all the sleet, heavy sleet potentially. From the latest NAM, the NAM is starting to look like it might be just too warm, especially in southern New England. But we'll show it anyways. We're getting into 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, all rain in Pittsburgh. You still got snow. Back in snow might bring y'all some extra, basically, accumulations for these sections of the northern Ohio Valley and then areas of Michigan. Really brings snow very far north into Michigan. And then this continues, and this is when that heavy band of snow moves into Massachusetts as we're getting into the 4, 5, 6 a.m. time frame. And, I'm out the range of the time. I'm sitting here talking about, here's the time up here, and I got it cut off the screen there. But the purple's the sleet. There's going to be a pretty large area of sleet. And as you're getting into 6 a.m., if y'all want to see those as heavy snow, I really think if you're in southern New England, you need to be up in the middle of the night, in the wee hours of the morning. Because by the time some of you folks in southern New England, like Connecticut and Rhode Island, by the time y'all guys wake up, y'all might just be all asleep. But you look at New York City, Long Island's all rain, most of New Jersey's all rain, and maybe stays cold enough, long enough for northern New Jersey for some freezing rain. But Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, PA, you guys are going to see some nasty freezing rain, but you guys can even switch to some heavy rain. But this is per the NAM. Remember, the NAM is a little too warm at all levels of the atmosphere. But as we're flipping through here, we're getting into 10, 11 a.m. It wants to mix to sleet and go over to all sleet for Boston. And then it wants to get over to all rain in southern sections of Connecticut, Rhode Island, southeast Mass here, and wants to switch to all rain. I don't know if it's going to do that. But I do think that the warm nose could surprise people. But we'll have to see. All snow up here in Maine. All snow for New Hampshire and Vermont and New York State. And as this cold air back funnels in, we switch to all snow for everybody. A different air mass moves in. Cold air in all levels of the atmosphere moves in behind the low pressure, and you don't really have to deal with mixing for anybody. And this could actually overperform as you're getting into the evening hours. There could be another burst of snow that moves into Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Connecticut, as the winds shift out the north, and then you have some heavier banding that might pivot, and it might be a snowy Friday evening for you folks for sure. And as we're moving and looking at the NAM, this is the 700 millibars. Basically what we're looking at is forcing and this frontogenesis band. So This is what I'm talking about when this moisture first moves in. There is going to be some banding right into here where that warm air advection at about 5 to 10,000 feet up in the air above the surface or above our heads, there's going to be some warm air advection that pushes through. One good thing if you're a winter weather fan is if you can remain below freezing even when that warm air advection is occurring and where that basically that 32-degree line is aloft. If you can remain in all levels of the atmosphere below that 32-degree line, then you get heavy wet snow. And it's honestly because you look at this moist profile, and this is a snow sounding. See how the temperatures are in the red. See how they rise, and it gets to about 5, 6, 7,000 feet up in the air. And it almost gets above freezing, which is that 0 degrees Celsius line right here, which is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. This is that warm nose, but that warm nose does not make it above 32 degrees. Therefore, the temperatures begin to drop as there's more colder air and other lower levels of the atmosphere, and it's 31 degrees. So therefore, this is a sounding for heavy, wet snow falling in this region. I'm talking 1 to 2 inch per hour rates as you're getting just before sunrise into the early morning hours. Look at the RGEM model and what it's looking like into here. This model is definitely much colder. It wants to have freezing rain deep down in Maryland. It wants to have sleet, a burst of snow for New York City. It wants to stay all snow into 5 a.m. for most of southern New England. But this even brings that sleet line and switches to all rain for New York City. But it brings some very heavy snow into Massachusetts and stays all snow for Boston. But that sleet mixing line is very close by as we get into the morning hours. We'll switch it. You look at PA. Southwest PA is just going to be all rain. You guys, the low pressure just really ruins all levels of the atmosphere, puts too much warm air. But real big time sleet storm for basically northern PA and northeast PA, and then icing just south into central Pennsylvania for sure. Scranton, for example, Scranton, PA could really see a lot of sleet and then some icing behind it and maybe some wraparound snow. Just an example for a city in PA here. But moving forward here, it stays almost all snow for areas of Boston. So briefly, I'll mention my folks, and hold up if you're in the Northeast. Don't switch off the video and get frustrated. I'm about to show you. But I don't want to just totally ignore my folks in the Ohio Valley. Between now and the next couple hours, you guys could still see some accumulating snow in these areas. So we're going to continue to watch that. And there's going to be the potential for a solid glaze here in central to northern Ohio as you're getting into the evening hours, and then a glaze here in areas of PA. So I don't want to just forget about you guys. So let's go into look at the National Weather Service. We're going to compare and contrast some models here. National Weather Service now is wanting to just show maybe 8 to 9 inches of Boston. Notice the heaviest snowfall totals have ticked north. So they're watching that warm nose on these short-range models and how much they can wreck the atmosphere as far as it being an all-snow event, for example, being in Boston. But for New York City, for example, just maybe an inch or two of snow, if that. Northern New Jersey, a few inches of snow. But then you get into areas of the northern section of PA, a few inches of snow possible. But the interior Northeast, especially the higher elevations, a lot of heavy snow, well over a foot, widespread totals. But Connecticut and Rhode Island and this area of southern New England is going to be a big battle zone for winter weather. You guys, most areas could start off with a good thumping of a few hours of heavy snow that could really lay the foundation and make the ground completely white for a few inches of snow, maybe more. And then it's going to quickly switch to sleet as you work your way into the morning hours, early morning hours. So this is what the National Weather Service shows. This is what the HRRR model shows. It wants to bring more snowfall totals, higher snowfall totals, more south. And it wants to give areas like Boston, anywhere from 9 to 12 inches of snow widespread. And it brings a lot of snow out here on the Cape also, of 6 to 8 inches of snow. You look at the National Weather Service and it only gives you a few inches of snow. The HRRR model wants to give southeast Massachusetts 6 to 8 inches of snow. But look at Connecticut. In the southern shoreline, for example, 3 to 5 inches of snow. The northern Connecticut's not a big state. I've never even been there, but geographically, I can look at it in a map, and it's not a big state. The northern sections of Connecticut, though, could see, per the HRRR model, over a foot of snow. So northern PA could really see some heavy snow also, and interior Northeast, for example. The NAM likes the idea of there being a lot of warm air aloft. And this actually really hurts you guys as far as snow force, these southern sections down here. And I know I've been ignoring the freezing rain, but let's go on and finish this off, and we'll talk about some freezing rain totals here in a second and sleet totals. But you see these southern sections right down here. The NAM wants y'all to basically get completely gypped on snow. It's just something to watch. Now, I do think the NAM, for my own reasons, I really think it's overdoing it, but I do think that the warm nose is going to be a problem in this area, especially south of Boston and south of Massachusetts. I think that's going to be an issue for sure. Let's switch here and look back at the National Weather Service. How much ice? Well, there's going to be a decent icing event, but the National Weather Service does not like the idea of a ton of ice, and I think that's why they've just issued winter weather advisories for PA. So maybe a glaze of ice is possible, but them Laurel Highlands could definitely see over a quarter-inch of ice in these higher elevations well east of Pittsburgh, and then some interior areas of southeast PA could definitely see a glaze of ice to even maybe as much as a quarter-inch of ice in spots, which is a lot of ice. But a solid glaze showing up here in the Maryland, these higher elevations. Look down here in New York City, a glaze of ice. But you see the ice showing up in Connecticut. A tenth of an inch of ice is forecast in sections of Connecticut. So it just tells you, you got to watch out for the ice. As far as the ice on the HRRR model, cut these totals by at least 50%. But it likes the idea of basically a big-time ice storm in PA, but still nothing. I wouldn't say big time, just an ice storm, especially for those highlands right here in this area. As far as sleet, I do think someone's going to get a ton of sleet. Watch out, sections of northern PA, sections of northern New Jersey, just north of New York, I really think, and then an area into Connecticut and Rhode Island is going to see anywhere from a ½ inch to 2 inches of sleet. 2 inches of sleet is a lot of sleet. Depending on how cold it is, 2 inches of sleet could be equivalent to 10 inches of snow. And that's just a number I'm throwing off the top of my head, but it just goes to show you that it takes a while for 2 inches of sleet to pile up, especially if you just have a light to steady sleet falling or a moderate sleet falling. It takes a lot to pile up. You look at the NAM, how much sleet is the NAM showing? Well, go on and cover your eyes because the NAM likes to get crazy with sleet totals. But it wants it just to be an all-out sleet storm, and kind of the same region the HRRR model showing. But it wants to dump widespread 1 to 3 inch sleet totals in this section right into here. It's crazy. But I do think there's going to be widespread, significant sleet totals. That RGEM model that I showed y'all, I kind of like the idea of the RGEM model. I'm not saying that's kind of the model I'm leaning towards. But I think for instance, for Boston, I think 6 to 10 inches of snow is something that I would forecast. I'm going to be very interested to see how much snow Boston ends up getting. They can overachieve that if that front end thump of snow ends up being as heavy as it could be. So I think 8 to 12 inches is a good bet. The National Weather Service is actually calling for that for Boston, but we'll see how that unfolds. But the interior, just the interior areas of Massachusetts. But one thing I'll mention for the RGEM model does not want much love for the northern areas of the interior Northeast. They want the plaster areas of southern New Hampshire and Vermont and interior areas of New York State. But you get into these northern sections, not near as much snow as these other models are showing. The GFS, this is how much it's showing. It's pretty much set that the models are pretty much agreeing that Massachusetts is going to be a big snowstorm. Now, I know big snowstorm for you folks is probably 1.5 feet, 2 feet of snow, but this is going to be a high impact event still. A nice Friday snowstorm for a lot of areas into here. So let's go on and look at this and we'll wrap up this video. This is chances of 6 inches of snow between now and overnight Friday and Saturday morning. You have basically in Boston a solid, you might as well say 80 to 90% chance to see 6 inches of snow. But you get down here and look how much the colors change. Big question marks. Boston get 8 to 12 inches, but you get down to Hartford and there's only a 20 to maybe 30, 40% chance to see 6 inches of snow for Hartford, Connecticut, for example. No chance to see that down here. This is going to be where the heaviest snow is. You go on and switch it and you're looking for the ice. Chances to see a 1/10 of an inch of ice. Northern New Jersey, good chance. Anywhere from a 50 to 70% chance to see it. But then you look right down here, pretty much 100% chance to see a 1/10 of an inch of ice here just east of Pittsburgh for sure. And you can go even further and look at the chances to see a 1/4 inch of ice, which is when you really start to see that ice storm criteria ice in the Highlands right here is a big area to watch. Harrisburg could be an area to watch for some significant icing too, but nothing crazy or unheard of. Last thing we'll mention is this is what you call the HREF. So basically, it's the National Weather Service ensemble mean of 1 hour per rate snowfall rates. So this greenish area right here, if you look down here, this is 1 inch to 1.5 inches per hour snowfall rates. And this is for the time frame of basically, I would say anywhere between 5 and 7 a.m. So this is 1 hour snowfall rates. It's saying that there is the potential that we could really get these heavier, let's go on and put this in play here. Check it out here. This is the movement of that inch per hour rate band that moves through. And hopefully it can speed up and we can roll through it one more time here. But watch how, as this unfolds, this is going to get moving. I would push the cursor, but it doesn't work for me very well. This is per hour rate. So you get into that blue, but check this out. That's as we get into the early morning hours. Did you see that? So that's southern New England. You're going to get 1 to 2 inch per hour rates moving into southern New England for about 3 to 4 to 5, 6 o'clock in the morning tomorrow morning. So be aware of that. That's all I got, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. This is probably the last longer video I make for a while. I'll probably make a longer video in the morning, but after that, you know, things begin to slow down. Stay safe tomorrow in the Northeast, and hope you guys have a great evening. God bless everybody, and stay safe.